Well, now I want to turn to Chris Course for our My Build this evening. And I understand we've got some spectacular models to show you. You know, I've been writing for both of those magazines now for a little bit over 6 years. And I do it for two reasons. Number one, the subscriber doesn't pay anything for the magazine. So anybody that wants to read the magazine and the articles that are carried can do that for free. And the second reason is it's all about bringing building back into model railroading. And we heard earlier tonight from one hobby shop owner where the people that are coming into our hobby are not interested in building models or scratch building or kit bashing or anything like that. They just want to buy it, open the box, and put it on track or put it on a piece of plywood. And that's just a different philosophy than when I grew up and frankly, what I believe in. I believe we need to bring modeling back into our hobby. And that's why I write for both of these magazines. So with that said, Chris, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jim. We'll go ahead and head off to our PowerPoint this evening. Come on, there we go. Okay. This month we have the August Challenge of Harvest because we're coming into that time of year. Let's see here what happened. Why? Oh, it started at the end. My apologies. There we go. Okay, here we are. Of course, it's my build for August 23rd, 2023, and it is, of course, featuring you. Like I said, I'm your host, Chris Course, and we're going to go over harvest themed stuff. First up, we've got Greg Cassidy. You up, Greg?
Yes, I am.
Oh, there you are. All right. So it looks like we've got 5 slides for you tonight.
All right. This was something I built many years ago. It's a kit from Medford Trains, and the kit is called the Mail Pouch Barn. It was one of the first laser cut kits that I built, and there wasn't much laser cutting to it except the shape of the walls for the most part. But I didn't want to just build it the way that the kit came. I had a couple ideas that I wanted it to be really falling apart. And I also know that we wanted some farm equipment, so I had a little plow thing that I had put in this scene back then. And I thought, well, that counts too. Next. One of the things I did was age the wood quite a bit. I was still learning how to use stains and dry brushing, but what I did ended up coming out pretty good. And the wood itself, I was able to scrabble it enough that it looked like it was falling apart. I added a number of details. I built the door that went on that little shed on the back. Next slide. And one of the things I wanted to show was that a tree had actually fallen on part of the barn. So I took the corner of the little extension and kind of crushed it a little bit, had the roof caved in, and then had a tree that had fallen onto it and put some vines growing over it. I also had a lot of fun with this roof. It was just supposed to be rolled paper, but I wanted to have a rusty metal roof. So I cut the metal panels to shape and I built the frame to hold the roofing. And then all the metal panels, I took and soaked them in ferric chloride, being very careful, wearing gloves and eye protection. And you wait until it starts to bubble, then you put it in some water with baking soda and rinse them off. And you actually have a rusty roof that doesn't just look rusty, it is rusty. I lost a few panels in doing that because they got a little too rusty, but I had enough extras that I was able to put a roof together. Next.
Sorry, I was writing stuff down here. There we go.
And then it just had a normal set of barn doors. I built this little rolling door out of just some odds and ends that I had laying around. And had a little dog laying in the sun there, you know, just taking a nap like dogs are going to do. Is that it?
Yep, that's the last slide, Greg.
Okay, well, this was my mail pouch barn, and I just built a little diorama. Again, this was one of my very first ones. I'd built a layout, so I kind of knew some of the stuff, but building a diorama opened up a whole new world for me, and I haven't stopped yet.
Yeah, I remember seeing these photos of this quite a while ago, and it still holds up very well.
Thank you, Chris.
Greg, this company, Medford, you said,
Yes, Medford Trains.
are they still around?
I'm afraid not. The gentleman lived down not that far from you. He had grown up here in Maryland and was a Western Maryland fanatic. His name was Jim Koshin. And when he retired down there, he started making laser cut kits using a couple of the laser cut kit manufacturers to do the cutting for him, and primarily made Western Maryland structures. And he came out with a fair line of them, and a couple other buildings that weren't specific to any railroad, like this barn. But I'm afraid we lost him back in 2020. And if anybody ever comes across any of his kits, they're well worth getting. They're not great on directions, but they have a lot of heart in them.
It's a neat looking model.
Yeah, if I remember right, he came to Timonium a few times.
Oh, yes, he would come up to Timonium for every winter show and bring a bunch of his kits to sell and a lot of his built-up kits to show, which was difficult when he was flying on a plane. He'd have to package all this stuff, and he shipped things a couple of times, but there was a tragic loss of a roundhouse at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was one of Jeff Grove's
Yes.
friends. So from
Thank you.
Carolina Craftsman Kits. Are there any more questions for Greg before we move on? All righty, and thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Chris.
Awesome as usual. All right, next up, Phil Edholm. You up, Phil?
Phil's at the NMRA convention, so he won't be with us.
All right, maybe I can get because I sent some stuff down there. Maybe I can get some feedback on
There you
if you
go.
saw it or not. All right, looks like Phil had 7 slides to share. Looks like this is some track laying that he did. If I remember right, I remember looking at it going, what does this have to do with fall? But I think it actually does lead into it. So hang with us. We'll get there. But looks like he had a building that he was putting together on the left there. Some more work, a little looks like a pen on the bottom right. And there it is. There's the connection. Got looks like some is that avocados sitting there in the bucket or in
That's
the
what it looks like.
Yeah. All right. So there's a connection. And then there's some cow pens there. And a little bit more. Looks like some apples possibly getting ready to go off to wherever they get distributed to. Being dropped off by was that a Model A pickup truck? All right. Oops, that was it. So all right, so we'll move on to Jeff Jordan. You up, Jeff?
I'm
See
here.
you there. All
I'm
right.
here.
All right. Looks like you've got a couple of slides on here.
Yep. So, harvest time in Southwest Colorado. This still needs the corral. I haven't built the pens yet. The boxes, the proverbial box of sticks. But I'm very, very, very happy with what I've got so far. I was held up for a long time looking for sheep. And then you go on eBay and they want to sell you 3 sheep for $10. And needless, that wasn't going to get anywhere. And I ran into a fella whose son 3D prints. He does Dungeons and Dragons. He prints elves and knights and so on and so forth. And I said, I've been dying to get some sheep. Do you think you guys could 3D print some sheep for me? And it came back a week later with 30 some odd sheep. So these guys are all 1/48 scale, 3D printed. You see, he did them two different ways, with and without the little bases. I'm not sure whether I'm going to cut the bases off. And then, so they were resin print. They've been primed with a flat white primer and then doused liberally with a brown wash, which is what the sheep coming off of the range at the end of the, or in the fall, look like. They don't look white woolly. They look like Colorado soil. So these guys are standing there and you can see the stock car in the background. And if you go to the next slide, we'll see some more stock cars. Okay, these are that the ramp there was a item I found on eBay. Scale, it was much too big, but it was all laser cut wood, and so it was, infinitely alterable, and so I could cut it down to match the height of the Bachmann stock cars in the background. And then eventually there will be pens around that as well. But these are very well behaved sheep. And it is right up by the snow sheds, which is the way it was on the Rio Grande Southern. And so here's some stock cars. The top one is actually starts as a stock out of the box Bachmann stock car. And it's a bit of a challenge today to find an undecorated one, but this one started as an undeck freight car red. And then I added my own letterboards, added a San Juan design brake wheel, much nicer than the one that Bachmann provides. And those are San Juan decals for the Rio Grande Southern. Then the bottom one is a bit of a project. The first one is basically out of the box, some lettering and some weathering. The bottom one is also a Bachmann stock car, but I wanted to replicate the distinctive Denver and Rio Grande Western stock car. And so you see that it's double sheath. And so I started out with the Bachmann car. Of course, I had to trim down the ladders, added grab irons, added the double sheathing. That is all evergreen styrene sheet or strips to a scale size to give you the double sheathing, added the letterboards. Again, San Juan design or San Juan decals. They make really nice replicas of the Rio Grande decals. And so applied the Rio Grande decals. Of course, the whole thing had to be painted a flat black, which is slightly cut. So it's not stark black. It's a slightly faded black. And again, another San Juan brake wheel and some weathering because these cars never stay clean. Oh, also underneath, you may recall the Bachmann cars come with vacuum brakes, which is rather 19th century. And so I cut off the Bachmann vacuum brakes and replaced them with K brakes. Again, detail parts available from San Juan. And so I have an assortment of stock cars, some Rio Grande Southern, some Denver and Rio Grande Western, and some Colorado and Southern, as you can see there, because when the Colorado and Southern went out of business, the Rio Grande Southern bought up some of their cars and they didn't bother to re-letter them. So it's really kind of, many narrow gauge railroads, you run only a single road name, and the Rio Grande Southern here, being controlled at that point by the Denver and Rio Grande Western, has Denver and Rio Grande Western cars, has Colorado and Southern cars, and has its own Rio Grande Southern cars. So again, a nice assortment of stock cars in the string. I think that's it.
Yep, that's it.
That's
All right,
some
any
nice,
questions?
that's some nice research you did to find that out too, Jeff.
Well,
Yeah.
The Rio Grande Southern is blessed with a 12-volume set called the RGS Story. I don't think any railroad, even the Pennsylvania Railroad, has got a 12-volume set of 400 pages in each of the 12 volumes. This thing is mind-boggling, the detail that they have on the Rio Grande Southern You could spend hours and hours going through these books. They're a terrific resource for the Rio Grande Southern.
Yeah, I know the Rutland actually has a similar thing. It's called 60 Years of Trying. And those things, it's funny because there's some of them, there's a lot of them out there, and then there's some of them, there's only a few. So I think I'm missing one of them, but there's quite a bit of stuff out there on the Rutland anyway. But
Yeah, and to research the sheep, I resorted to the internet to see what sheep should look like in Colorado.
Alrighty, any questions for Jeff before we move on? Alrighty, fantastic as usual there, Jeff. Thanks for sharing with us.
Thank you very much.
And next we'll move on to Mitch Lovelace. Mitch, are you here? I know this is actually a holdover from last month because Mitch sent me a ton of stuff saying, hey, I really want some feedback on this, and I've got to work tonight. So I was like, well, why don't we hold off till next month? And if Mitch is up, then hopefully he can chime in. But
he's not here, Chris.
What's that?
He's not here tonight.
Okay. All right. So it looks like we've got 7 slides for him. So we'll just go over those real quick. He is working on a city scene.
What scale is that, Chris?
He didn't say, but it does look kind of small. I'm kind of thinking it might be N scale because those kind of look like, or maybe HO, because those kind of look like about Matchbox car size.
Mm-hmm.
But he did quite a lot of work on this one little scene.
It's nice modeling, though. For that size.
Yeah, I imagine I'm guessing it's probably HO scale, and I'm gonna guess that those are DPM plastic buildings that he used. He probably used a bunch of them.
Yeah.
To build this. But he said if I remember right, he talked about some of this stuff is he kind of took names and things from either his past or where he's currently living, and kind of pulled from that. So I think that's where your Fresh Ink Studio and the place called Mistakes came from. I'm wondering if there's a little joke behind this. Looks like a garbage truck with some stuff on the ground behind it. And he sent a really interesting picture of a roof. Now, one of the things to keep in mind is something that I try to keep in mind whenever I build a kit is, let's face it, for the most part, people are going to see the roof more than anything else. And he showed you in this shot what the roof looks like. So he's putting it all out there. It looks like for a roof, I mean, there's a pretty decent amount of detail on it.
Yep.
Huh. And then as the sun goes down, we take a look at what he was working on the insides. He did some, I'm going to guess and say that those are probably LEDs that he put in there. And I'm not sure exactly how he got those the pictures in there, whether it was like what do you call it, like slide film, or if he purchased those or had them made. I'm not sure how he did that.
Looks nice though.
Yeah, it did come out nice. But wait, there's more. Yeah, so you see a lot of he put a lot of time and effort into this, that's for sure.
It's a believable looking scene, the way that he's done it, seems to me.
Yeah. All right, looks like that's the last slide. So Mitch, if you're watching this later or on YouTube, whatever, please let us know what you were doing with how you did the windows.
Yeah. And what scale you're working in?
Yep. Yeah, I imagine it's probably HO.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have a new entrant, Edward O'Rourke. Edward, are you up?
I don't
Okay.
believe he's here tonight, Chris.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think he's at the convention.
Okay. All right. So we'll just go over his stuff. Looks like he's got 2 slides on here. And okay, so I'm pretty sure what he did here is he took and he did some detail work and some weathering work on this car. I'm not sure what scale it's in. I'm guessing it's going to be O scale. Jeff, maybe you have a good idea, better idea than I do as to whether that's O scale or HO.
I was studying the couplers. They kind of look like standard KDs, don't they?
Yeah, I think you're right. So it's probably is HO. So, all right. So that's the first one. And then I believe there's another car, or actually another 2 cars. There we go. So he did some nice work on these, at least detailing them. It came out pretty decent. He did some good work with getting just a little light amount of weathering on that bottom one there. The top one, it's got a little bit. It's barely on there, but you see it. I mean, that could be a car that was recently. I don't know if railroads washed the cars or not, but or maybe it was brand spanking new and just had a little bit of road dust on it. But those are his 4 entrants for us.
Very nice.
Yeah, thanks for sending those in, Edward. And next time you come up, please let us know, and we'll gladly talk about this. Oh yeah, look at that. He used spring trucks on those.
Yeah.
On the bottom one, anyway. All right, David Raring, are you up? All right. Looks
I
like
don't think he's here either.
Yeah. All right. And the one photo he did send in fits very nicely into the whole harvest theme, because obviously there's people working on the farm there. You can see the barn across the street with their with the signs on it, as used to be as they used to do. I think that was a Vermont thing. I'm not sure. I imagine it was probably pretty widespread that they did that sort of thing. But got a nice little garden growing there. So thanks for sharing that, David. I don't know what scale it is. I'm going to assume it's HO. All right.
Can I interject a moment?
Sure, please do.
It's N scale, and the
it
barn
is.
and the farmhouse are both paper builds.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yes.
Yes.
Listen,
Boy, if that's true, Paul, then that's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Fantastic.
designed the building, the farmhouse, and the barn is something that was picked up off the internet.
It's very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, very, very nicely done. All right, we'll move on. Gary Shurgold, I know you're here.
I'm here.
There we go. All right. Looks like you've got 4 slides tonight.
Yeah, what we have here is a pickling grading station. And the front part was a kit, the building. The kit I got here a long time ago. It's of an actual grading station that existed in Ontario. Now the back portion, you see the pickle vats. And that sort of Heinz has sort of taken over, and they're starting to, as the pickles come in, they're starting to put them in vats and making different kind of pickle stuff from it. Now the vats themselves, at one time we used to be able to buy our stamps in 100-lot rolls. And what I used to do is save them after I used all the stamps. I saved the cardboard discs and then made vats out of them, board by board construction, and designing the tops. And a little crane there lifts the tops off so the
Nice.
guys don't have to handle the heavy stuff.
Is this HO?
This is HO scale. Yes,
Okay.
sorry.
No, all right, cool. Yeah, we're actually looking to do a pickle cart at some point here. So I actually it's sitting on my desk on the table here, but it'll get finished one of these days. All right, let's do. I think there's more for you here. I think there was what,
Yeah.
4 slides.
Yeah.
Right, so there's your more pickle
Yeah,
cards.
what these are the Heinz cars coming in to pick up pickles also. And you can see in behind the Heinz car is this is a vehicle trailer that I had scratch built. And it's just that it picks up product that can't be shipped on the rails. So it would be probably going to a nearby factory,
Oh, okay.
Heinz factory.
Now, is that something that you just came up with, or was that a real thing?
No, this is strictly my imagination.
Aha.
Sort of a copy of the car itself, the rail car, but made to go on the road as a trailer.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, because that'd be kind of neat if you could just basically do like they do with intermodals, and then pick it up off of the rails, and then drop it onto onto the back of a trailer and just haul it on down the road.
Yeah, no, this would, like when I built it, I built it as a trailer to go behind a tractor unit.
Yep.
You have no idea how much pickle stuff he has.
I'm a little fanatic about pickle carts. It's a little, the Heinz pickle sign is scratch built using the alphabet, wooden alphabets. And they, as I say, what you're looking at, with the exception of the crane, everything there is scratch built, and the exception of the barrels. They were, you get a barrel, you paint them, and I put a little product in them that it makes them look like they're full of water or brine.
Gary, I hate to be dumb. How do you grade pickles?
Believe it or not, that is a very small rice that was put into that brine material and then painted green.
Hmm.
It's actually rice kernels, a small variety rice, and put in on the tops.
I'll be darned.
And painted green and make it look like pickles. It's a lot of fun.
It's all about fooling the eye.
I get a big kick out of making barrels.
It's nice. It really is. It's something totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came out really cool.
Yeah.
All right, looks like, yep, one more. There we go.
Yeah, this is another shot showing basically the same thing, a little wider view, showing the pickle cars and
Did you call this a
heavy-
pickle grading station?
yeah, the grading station, what they would do is we actually have one just a little northwest of, or I'm sorry, northeast of where I live. And what the farmers do is they bring the crop in, drop it off at the station, and it gets weighed and graded, and they collect their money, I guess.
Oh,
It
okay.
gets put into trucks and cars and is shipped out.
It's a
Alrighty.
nice model. It's something really different. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about pickling is it seems like modelers, from what I can tell in research, it looks like a lot of modelers have either a pickling station or a brewery or both.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it
That's-
came out very nice.
Yep.
All right. Are there any questions for Gary? All righty. Well, thanks, Gary. Thanks for sharing. Very unique as usual. We very much appreciate you sharing.
I thank you very much, Chris.
All righty. Let's see. James Spice, are you up, James?
I don't see
I
it,
don't think he's
Chris.
here either.
Okay. All right. So we'll move on. Well, we'll go through his stuff. Looks like he's got 2 slides here. First one is a looks like a livestock pen. Looks like it's probably got some sheep in there. I'm gonna guess that one kind of the way, just looking at the tracks, that looks narrow gauge to me. Does that sound right to everybody else? So it's
I don't know. Are they better sheep than ones Jeff had?
I don't know. It's a distant photo, so it's hard to tell.
They're cleaner.
They're not as dirty.
They got a bath. All right, and it looks like there's the back pen. If you see it in the back of this, see it in the back of this photo, and then he's basically did another shot where it's a little more close up. So he's got a nice little barbed wire fence where he's got everything, got all his sheep herded into a pen. That's very nice, very unique. You don't usually see stuff like that. It looks like they get a little pond to drink out of too. So, and an old tractor to look at.
Jeff, was narrow gauge more of sheep country?
That's southwest Colorado with rather sparse range. And in the later years, that it was indeed sheep country. And the railroad did a lot to move them around, because in the spring, they would take them from low pasture to high pasture and leave them in the high pastures all summer, and then come collect them in the fall. And this does look like Colorado narrow gauge sheep keeping as well. Look at the mountains in the background, and that pen is really kind of nice. I think that's the pens for sheep were actually set to 2 levels, because the stock cars for sheep, you could get an intermediate deck in there, and so they were double-decker stock cars, and the pen, the ramp had to be able to do the upper deck or the lower deck. And you can see on the left, the sheep is coming out at the lower deck, and the ramp up behind the guy on the right is set up at the height for the higher deck.
Oh, cool.
So nice. That's what my box of sticks will look like once it ever gets put together.
Oh, all right. So it looks like that was it on that one. Father Ron, are you up?
Oh, yeah, I'm here. I didn't know I had something sent in.
Yeah, I might have accidentally not hidden your slide, so we'll see here in a second. Yep, it's the one from the previous.
Okay.
So I like that little little church. That came out pretty neat.
Yes, it did.
There.
That's the interior of the warehouse.
Yep.
Yep.
All righty. So I apologize for that, but thanks.
right.
And you got an encore presentation out of it. What can I say?
There you go.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to Ray Warner. Are you up, Ray?
I don't see
I
it,
don't think
Chris.
he's here either.
All right, looks like he's got 3 slides. None of the new guys showed up. That's crazy. All right, looks like he sent us some photos of a barn.
That's a big barn.
Yeah, it is a big one. It kind of looks like one of the old branch line kits, just based on the how it's got the peel and stick what do you call it, trim on it. I'm not doing well talking tonight, sorry. Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of peel and stick. It does look like a branch line kit of some sort.
Yeah.
And he lit it up.
Yeah.
And
Man.
then an old Quonset hut.
What scale do you think that is, Chris?
I'm gonna guess and say it's HO, but I
Boy,
wonder
it
if
looks
it
like
might be O.
that looks like an awful big model.
Yeah, it does. That's what I'm saying, is it might be O. But all right, and a Quonset hut looks like that was the last shot.
Yeah, that's a nice model. I like that.
Yep.
Chris, I have a question about branch line kits. I was just looking on the web and I can't find a website for them, but I find several other brand names that it looks like they manufacture kits for. Do you think they're still in business?
They're actually not in business. When I was at at Amherst last year, I ran into a guy that works for Micromark, and he is actually he was doing a clinic at Amherst, and he was telling me that they purchased branch line trains, and they are actually he's part of his job is he is taking and essentially re-engineering all of those kits to get rid of the peel and stick, and in the process he's going through and putting Tichy windows in all their products. So I said thank you, because I was not a fan of the I call them lick and stick'ems. I don't like the lick and or the peel and stick trim, because I have I think it's called a Weimer's grist mill. I love that kit except for all the peel and stick parts that
Hey,
go on.
Chris,
Yeah.
Greg, I just looked on the American Model Builders, AMB, makers of laser kit, and they have a barn that looks just like that one.
Okay, so it's an AMB
It looks
kit.
like they offer it in HO and O, so I don't know which this is.
All right, thanks for that info, Greg. You're talking about the barn.
Yep.
Okay, so I imagine, because if you're looking at the Quonset hut, they look to have there looks to be a family resemblance there to me.
Yeah,
Am I alone in that?
yeah. You know, when I first saw that Quonset hut, Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that a card model?
It kind of, it does look like that.
That one, that one does look like a card model, and it looks like it would be O gauge.
That's
And
what I was thinking.
what I'm going by is it looks like there's no relief in the corrugations on the Quonset hut itself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that-
just when you mentioned it, that's what I was thinking is it looks an awful lot like a paper or a card kit. So
it's a good looking model though, you know, for a card
Yeah.
model or whatever, it's a good looking model.
yeah. So yeah, I kind of think if I were to do a Quonset hut, I'd use an old coffee can, cut it in half.
Yeah. Yep.
But alrighty. And I believe, yep, that's it. So thanks to everybody that contributed. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people contribute tonight. So I think that was in terms of numbers, I think that's an all-time high. I'm just guessing. but
I think you're right. I just don't know why you scared them off.
yeah, I don't know either. But we have 1, 2, 3, 4 people that have never contributed before. And I think that's huge. I think I want to thank everybody for participating. And if you've thought about participating, please do. As you know, we're no judgment. So just send us your photos. The next My Build will be September 20th. It's basically a free for all. So whatever you've got, whatever you're working on, whatever you have a question about, whatever you found at a garage sale, please email me those photos, railrunner130@hotmail.com. And please try to get me those photos by the 17th of September. That way it gives me a couple days to get everything compiled and put together. I think I did this one on Monday night. So that was nice. It wasn't really, pressured to shove in a lot of pictures at the last minute. So that helped out a lot. So thanks to everybody that contributed. If you haven't contributed before, please do so. So I will turn it back over to you, Jim.
Well, Chris, thanks so very much. I think it was a great show tonight, and I like the fact that we're getting new modelers.
Yes, definitely.
So that's wonderful news. Well, thanks so very much. And if you'll send me that information later, I sure would appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm trying to take notes as I did it. That's why there's so many pauses.
I got you. Thanks again.
Yep.